Two and one. I believe we are live. Welcome, family. Welcome, family.
Hello,
welcome back.
hello.
Welcome back to the Black Earth Days podcast live stream.
The weekly magazine of Black environmental justice. I'm Walter Elspeth II.
And I am Andre Hill II.
All right. And we are here to talk to you about environmental justice. One of the rarest, this is the rarest form of social media that we have right now is on environmental justice. Black environmental justice.
Very rare, and I ain't scared to say it. It's because just be real about it, because you got two black men talking about it.
Yep.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Go ahead, do your research.
Time,
go try to find two black men talking about environmental justice in general.
We dare you.
Let alone black environmental justice.
We dare you.
Yeah, double dare you. Double dog dare you.
And it's gonna be any better than the way we presented today.
Yeah. Yeah, today and from here on. From here on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
to the YouTube channel.
Go to the
YouTube channel, the Walk Busy YouTube channel, WALT Busy BIZZY YouTube channel, and like, subscribe,
share
and share. Yes, absolutely.
Indeed.
It helps us get the word out. Right?
Indeed. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Last week we had a successful endeavor, a successful thing that we did. Successful.
We did a thing.
Did a thing with the what's the name of this commission again, brother?
This is the Florida Public Service Commission. Florida Public Service Commission. And it was glorious what was going on. Glorious.
All right, and let's give them a recap on what the Florida Public Service Commission was doing in Tampa in particular. Hosting a public service meeting at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
While everybody was at work.
Andre had attitude.
What you mean? That's slight.
They had to get up at 6.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was expecting 5 p.m. Yeah, like everybody else would be.
It should have been in the evening. And one of the arguments we had, Dre, was the fact that they did not allow it. And the reason they didn't allow it was because, as they said, what was it? We don't show up anyway.
Right.
So why we offer that opportunity for them, for us being black folks anyway, to show up?
Indeed.
Something like this, right?
Well, contrary to that notion, a lot of people showed up. Not only did black folks show up, white folks showed up, brown people showed up.
That's right.
And let me be more specific. When we say black folks, supposed to be talking what we call ourselves as African American people showed up.
That's right.
I refer to us as Aboriginal American people showed up. Latino Americans showed up, Hispanic Americans showed up, and Caucasian Americans showed up. Everybody was in the building, and all had a common agenda, expressing their concerns about the one common issue, which was the local electric company, which has a monopoly on the electric grid here in the Tampa Bay area. Tampa Electric Company, aka TECO, proposing a rate hike on the consumers.
Right. Hey man, listen, we've been seeing this increase in bills across the county, right? Listen, people are seeing it across the state, around the state, but what we've seen mostly has been right here in Central Florida, from this coast to the East Coast, literally from Orlando, from Tampa to Orlando, St. Pete to Orlando. Was it Florida Power or Duke Florida Power and TECO across the way? But this was Duke and TECO going for the going for the gusto, trying to raise energy rates. And so those energy rates, as you've seen it on your bills, many of you have seen have gone up so much so that it makes it very difficult for the hardworking people out there who are in the underserved community to make it. Indeed. To dig themselves out of the hole, right? To be able to, they've been enduring what they call an energy burden. And that energy burden is very, very difficult to overcome when you're not given a break. You can't. It's like you just can't win. And there are several stories that were shared and testimonies during that time that we saw in front of the commission, that were offered to the commission. And they also offered the opportunity to speak to the press about this situation individually. People brought proof, which is very interesting and very useful for the decisions that are going to have to be made in the time to come. I think that what we've seen in the past has been fewer, as you point out. We saw people from all walks of life, just about every demographic was there. But one of the biggest things is the non-traditional demographic, which is the Black community, came out and was a part of this whole thing. That is unusual. Indeed. That is unusual. You don't see us participating in this type of thing. And Black folks came out. Most of them were elderly. In another situation that we had a young Crystal Pate, who was a young mother, who brought her children out there. And she was, one of which is actually having surgery coming up pretty soon. We're putting our blessings out there to her, our prayers out there to her. And we're asking that everybody look out for her daughter and pray for her daughter. She goes through this tough time. She's having brain surgery, man. Smart girl, beautiful young ladies. They came out there. They were a part of this whole thing. And Crystal actually testified before the Public Service Commission. She expressed to me before it started that she was nervous, but she got up there, Drake, and she did. And she did great. Did the thing. She did great. Yes, she did. Yeah. Yes, she did. Very proud of you, Crystal Pate. Absolutely, Crystal. You keep going. She called me the other day. She said, "What now?" I said, "Crystal, you keep fighting. Use your voice to keep fighting." Yeah, and particularly, answering a question, what happens now, and elaborating on your answer to her to keep fighting. And what we have is, the continued mobilization and the continued strategic planning. That's what it's all about. Sure. So, and so what we realize is that this became this was a political landscape. It was a political face-off, if you will. Right? It's about a very basic resource, in 2024, electricity is now a basic resource, almost akin to water, pretty much. And in 2024, you can't really live without electricity. As a kid, that's our new fire. Right? So it becomes a political face-off, rendering us to have to come up with strategy that is political in order to overcome these challenges. So again, going back to answering the question, what do we do now? What do we do now? And this is what me and Walter talk about all the time. When it comes to forming think tanks on the matter, when it comes to attending practically any event that we host. Right. Come out and be a part of it. Come out and be a part of it. One of the things that people do, man, this is commonplace, right? What people do quite often is they go on to YouTube, right? Or go onto Facebook and they like it. They just hit like and they keep scrolling. Man, and they scroll past all the important stuff. When you have this stuff that is life challenging, that's valuable and worthwhile learning, quality information, we do this, right? Stop doing that, folks. Stop doing that. Stop for a moment. Pay attention, whether it's us or somebody else. Stop, pay attention for a moment to what's going on, because you might miss something that's very important for you.
Indeed, indeed. And again, it's the beginning of the show, so I feel like I can get away with being redundant and on this statement. Environmentalism is your most important political concern right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it is your most important political concern right now. It's your most important human rights concern right now. Matter of fact, not even right now. Forevermore, until you are very keenly aware and are producers and cultivators of your very basic resources. Okay. I'll say it again, until you are very keenly aware of and cultivators of your very basic resources, environmentalism will always be your primary concern, regarding, political issues. All right. So, what else do we have?
News.
So when it comes to the Public Service Commission.
Okay, Public Service Commission.
Yeah.
Well, as it stands right now, folks, we're going to have to wait for a couple of months to see what happens, because the decision has not been made, won't be made for some months now. Probably by the end of the year, maybe by August. Mm-hmm. So August to the end of the year is the time period that we're looking at for possible answers or decisions to be made. I tell you right now, Greg, I think that we made a dent. I think we made a dent. I think we made some headway with them. I think that because when we looked at their faces, they were astounded.
The commission panel.
Oh wow, they looked astounded by the stories that they were listening to for the first time, and that just, bam,
Yeah.
What do how do we deal with this? Because nobody wants to be on that side of the history of this thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be on the side of that, and so they're having to really do some soul searching. Like I said, when I went up and testified, if you think that this is okay, then you don't have a soul. Mm-hmm. If you think this is okay, then you don't have a soul. And that was me looking at them and me looking at the TICO people in their eyes and saying, if you think that this is okay, you do not have a soul.
Very good speech, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
A question, because we keep it real gully on this show, right? So a question of the absolute. Does the Public Service Commission panel, do they have the power to say, hey, TICO, Duke, any other electric company, we're not going to allow you to raise the rates for the public? Do they have the power to stop them directly in their tracks?
Yes. They do. Absolutely.
Well, and so for everybody out there that's listening, so therein lies your fork in the road, of course, because if the answer was no, then you would try to formulate some other form of strategy, some other route to take in order to handle this. But since you know the answer is yes, then you keep marching in this direction, right? Right. So in other words, you keep making your voices heard. You keep showing up to the think tanks. You keep sharpening your knowledge on exactly how to approach these situations. Again, with savvy on policy in particular.
Absolutely.
right? So, and again, you know, we're going to continue to host those spaces for you. So, you know, for lack of a better phrase, you know, we don't have the excuse to not participate and fight the fight.
That's right. We're staying in the gap for you, folks. Staying in the gap for you.
Absolutely.
So, Drake, another topic that we move to. You know, we always start out usually by announcements and things like that, like we normally do. As everybody knows, I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We have the Grand Conclave coming to the Tampa Bay area, the first one in Tampa ever. And we're very, very excited as a fraternity that this is happening. And you have a lot of people out there who are not members of the fraternity who are very excited to have this happen right here in the Tampa Bay area so they can take part in the festivities that will be happening during the following week, which is next week, actually. Okay. Next week, starting on the 26th, there'll be comedy shows. Hopefully, we're looking forward to the possibility that we might have a special guest on the Sunday Forum. Our show, which is on Sunday from 8 to 10 on WMNF 88.5. Sunday Forum is hosted by yours truly. And we might be having, hopefully, I don't hold me to it, but we might be having Ricky Smiley. Oh, we hope because he is going to be here for a comedy show. We're not sure. He is a member of Omega Psi. Gotcha. So check it out. 8 to 10 on Sunday. All right. Now, which Sunday, of course, will be the last day of the actual conclave, but you want to make sure that you're there to come and check it out. Now, this is Juneteenth. Man, we had Juneteenth yesterday, brother.
We did have Juneteenth
yesterday. Yes. A lot of flags out there, a lot of people out there. But Drake.
Well,
did you see the advertisement with that came out of South Carolina with the white folks?
I did.
On the Juneteenth flag. I
did. You gonna ask me if I'm upset, outraged?
I'm not.
I'm irritated.
Right. I'm not outraged by it. I'm not happy about it because it's wrong. It's inappropriate.
I'm not even shocked. Right. Listen. I'm trying to figure out. All right. Listen. Why are we shocked? Why are we shocked?
Right.
Right. And I'm asking this question because when it comes to the commercialization of anything that's ours, like we ain't used to. All right. So herein lies. All right. So at what point are we going to realize that when it comes to a particular demographic that we deal with, in very close proximity,
right,
if they have the opportunity to commercialize something that is ours, they will do it. And yes. and here's the thing. Let's take our emotions off of it for a second.
Right.
All right, let's take our emotions off of it. Are they gonna commercialize it, and then are we gonna say we can't have nothing that's ours? Yeah, that's what happened every time. Are they gonna care? Are they gonna care that we say can we have anything that's ours?
No.
Well, here's the thing. For one, the absolute answer to that is yes, you can have something that's yours, but what parameters you gonna put in place to maintain that?
How you control it?
All right. Now look, when are we gonna put together the coalition and the trust to say, all right, we're going to copyright and or patent Juneteenth? So if y'all want to put up a flag or a poster or a banner or whatever and put your face on it, but here are the stipulations in order for you to do that, and here's how much you got to pay us to do it.
Right. The part is the governing body for that.
Which can be easily assembled.
You think so?
Yes. Yes.
Why do you think that?
Well, all right. So let me say it like this. It can technically be easily assembled.
Right.
In other words, the steps to assembling that governing body, that format, that template is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The will, the mutual respect and trust among us in-house, on the other hand, Therein lies the question.
Problem. We don't trust each other. We don't have an organization. Even though, one would think the first organization you think of that would govern something like that would be.
Well, I honestly, I would not hand that to a current body right now.
But who would you think the first one to come to mind?
The first one to come to mind, Nation of Islam. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. Nation of
The
Islam.
Nation of Islam is the first one that you think
That's what I think.
should be the governing body for something like this?
Yeah. Because anybody else, I can't think of anybody else with enough teeth, and enough. I can't think of anybody else suitable enough to handle that in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Giving everything that Juneteenth is. All right, because now mind you, I ain't gonna talk about that on the show. But I'm gonna say this: giving everything that Juneteenth is, and giving everything that Juneteenth isn't. We got to crack that open. Not gonna do it on the show. We're gonna have that discussion at our dinner table,
right.
off air.
Right. We deal with environmental stuff.
Exactly.
But
But again, so all right. So I gave you my. Who would you?
No, man. You didn't get me in that. Don't put it on you, right?
I don't mind. Listen.
Let me tell you. Okay, so the Nation of Islam would be one organization I would think of because it has nearly 100 years literally of organizational, established an institution in the Black community nationwide and internationally.
And international.
But because it's a nationwide situation, I think that's important to remember. However, equally as established would be the NAACP. Exactly. That's what I thought. That's what most people are going to say. And that's a hard pill to swallow, man. Is that anybody would even respond the way you just
about like that?
Man. Is that what we are now in the NAACP? Yeah, no.
Well, we know a lot about the NAACP today that was quiet as kept 50, 60 years ago. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, let's just say even the founders or contributing partners in the foundation of the NAACP, which still maintains its contribution to the direction of the NAACP in 2024. So that's why my response to that. In other words, in other words, it's like this. If it comes down to litigation, I just don't. Because it'll come down to litigation dealing with NAACP. I don't even think it'll come down to. I don't even think it'll go to litigation dealing with the Nation of Islam. That's my point. You see what I'm saying? Like they just if it was with the nation, people just be like, nah, we don't even want to touch it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Right. Just the image of it.
Well, it did it now. So
exactly.
Walmart got a piece of it. Anyway,
that's my point.
We're talking about this film. Listen, we got an email from. We want to say hello to everybody out that's watching us right now on Facebook, live right now. Mike Randolph, what's going on, brother?
Peace, brother Randolph.
Yes, sir. He's out there in West Tampa doing this thing. He says, Walter, how everybody with your family, everything with your family, I needed your help. Led to the Zion Cemetery in Robles Park. Over 400 Black bodies laid in the ground, forgotten. 3 business owners have built buildings over the bodies. THA and 2 other white business owners. THA is doing their part to right this wrong, but the white business owners are playing games. Again, here's that, the colonization piece, right? You keep going right back to colonization, and that's what happens, Mike. I'll get with you offline, Mike. Glad to hear from you, brother. DeAndre, Juan, what's going on, DeAndre? DeAndre shows up, bro.
Oh, cool.
DeAndre shows up, bro. He
Peace.
goes to think tanks and everything.
For sure.
That's my man. All right, so let's talk Nigeria.
All right.
Let's talk Africa, period. First things first, South Africa just had their election, their new president, the re-election of Cyril Ramaphosa, who is now the second term as president of the Republic of South Africa.
And he is
under great scrutiny, right?
But he is
black.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is South Africa. Ain't white people they own South African. Not gonna happen.
Wait a minute. I just saw something. I had to double check. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, let me tell you. When we talk about earlier, we were talking about the issue of environmental justice on the continent of Africa, right? As we talk about environmental justice on the continent of Africa, there's so many things that have to be considered. When we talk about one of the things that comes to mind, or countries that comes to mind, is Nigeria, which has the largest, fastest growing economy on the continent, right? Nigeria also is one of the more contaminated countries.
Okay.
Right? They have contamination areas that are huge. So much so that they've been told that in one of the colonizing entities in Nigeria was a Royal Dutch Shell Company. Royal Dutch Shell Company would be the shell company that we all know. And that shell company actually is responsible for the contamination of so much land in there, especially the rice fields in the Delta. That's a travesty what's happening. But what we see a lot, Dre, in these African nations and in other nations as well, but African nations, is the fact that you have these countries or these entities that go into these countries and they destroy the land in order to get resources. I don't understand that. So the question begs to be answered. Can we have environmental justice?
It's a good question too. Go ahead.
Without with colonization.
Can we have
environmental justice with colonization?
With colonization.
And
can we have environmental justice while colonization is still happening? And
I ask another question yet. Still, can we have environmental justice without colonization? Either way.
Yeah.
Either way. So let's say you decide of the width
of the former.
Yeah, of the former.
Can we have, and the question is, can we have environmental justice
in
Africa with colonization?
Yes.
In other words, so let's break the question down. We understand what environmental justice is. All right. But a brief description of it, at least from my perspective, would be the natural and political right for the indigenous and Aboriginal people of Africa to have access, fair access, and well, let's keep it at that term, because I'm being technical here. Fair access to the land and the minerals and resources of that land. All right. Now, with colonization, are we talking colonization by Europeans in particular?
Anybody who's in Africa.
Anybody who's in Africa.
Colonizing bodies, period.
Colonizing bodies. Okay. All right. Well, so because right now, that includes Arabs, Europeans, and Asians.
Mhm.
Okay. And even when I say Europeans, I mean Europeans from the West, which is America. In other words, those of European descent. All right. So to answer that statement in absolute, call me a Sith Lord if you want to.
You said Sith Lord?
That's what that's
Wow.
that's what they said. A Sith only answers in absolutes. You ever heard that?
Yep.
All right. So, so my answer to that is no. No.
Can I have environmental justice with
colonization?
Okay, all right.
No. Strong no. So it's time to elaborate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Strong no. All right. So when we're talking about when we're talking about colonization, what is colonization? Colonization is a deliberate seizing and infiltration of someone's geographic location, and a very deliberate seizure and or infiltration into someone's sharing of that geographic location's land and resources, right? But then even going further, is not designed to necessarily share. It's designed to siphon and well, yeah, just that in particular, siphon resources for the benefit of the colony in particular, in spite of any surrounding peoples, and in spite of the health of the geographic location at large. So, in brief statement, that's what happens with colonization. So, regardless of the country or the nation that is the culprits of the colonization, that is always going to be their agenda, regardless of how elaborate or complicated the colonization looks. All right, regardless of how it looks, it's always going to be simply this: we need to take more than we're going to give back. That's always how it's going to look, because it's just simply that we from one, we simply don't have the resources to give back. That's why we're the colonizer.
Okay.
All right. The colonizer is very keenly aware that they do not have the capacity to a fair exchange.
But they right? They make it seem like they do.
That's why I said, regardless of how complicated or elaborate they try to make it seem, the very bottom line is they never do.
They take from you, like you said, they take from you.
They're always going to take.
They make whatever, they weave this thing, this spell, right?
Right.
And then they throw it back at you.
So,
as though they're doing you a favor.
So what is that going to look like? Now, what it has looked like in recent times, and when we say recent, let's take in the technological era. In other words, everything past horse and buggy. All right. So let's take a look in the technological era, which includes the let's say the printing and digital monetization era. All right. So, colonization also has another component of it, which includes pretty much making a religion out of their economy system. Mm-hmm. All right. In other words, making you quite literally, making you believe that their fiat instrument is worth a certain amount or is worth a certain value. Quite literally making you believe that. When you really can't, or you really are not willing to test the intrinsic value of that fiat instrument.
Right. You know what? Let me stop you there.
Go ahead.
There are articles that have come out in the past and still going out today, dealing with the issue of how people just dogged out the land. Colonizers. Okay, so take Nigeria for instance. Nigeria is a perfect example. Nigeria conquered by England, and many Nigerians were forced to fight in World War I and all this stuff. And after World War I and II, you know, what do we do now with Nigeria and the Nigerians?
Mm-hmm.
What do? Companies like Royal Shell, Royal Dutch Shell, come into Nigeria, these petroleum companies come in and burn up, just scorch earth, destroy the Niger Delta Valley.
Mm-hmm.
All messed up. All messed up. And it's like, how are you going to get this right? How can you repair? And they're not making any moves towards repairing it or remediating any of it. Not at all. Instead, what they've done is they double down on the stupidity. For instance, I'll give you an example of something. You go to Mexico. In Mexico, what was their main export? Corn, right? Wheat, things like that. Things that could grow in that area. And hey, Mark Hennessy, how you doing? You know, things that grow in that area. While this is happening, folks are making a living. This is how they make a living. What they do, they take that stuff, the government goes out and makes a loan with the IMF or whatever it is, right?
Uh-huh.
The second they do it, you're in debt to them. There's nothing you can do to get out of it. The second they do it,
Gotcha.
and what happens as a result of that? As a result of everything that's happened, they take it and they make the land, they get rid of the agricultural access to land, agricultural use of the land, and they turn it into machine shops and factories, what they call maquiladores. Maquiladores, right?
Interesting. All right.
It's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. What they do is they take it and they destroy the land and they produce oil or gas. They ship it away, to produce more, or to not produce more, but to cultivate it or whatever it might be, whether it's gas or otherwise, and then sell it back to those countries.
So what is that? Let's break that down. So that is a process of colonization. So that is the destruction of the ecosystem of the indigenous person.
Exactly.
Right.
No more rights, baby.
No more rights.
No more rights.
No
right.
More rights.
Rights.
No more rights or rights.
That's right. Because the state now has taken control of whatever it is that was there.
All right.
And they sold that off to the Western powers. Then they turn right back around the G7 summit, and they put the blame on the southern countries, right? The geographic southern countries, or continents, right? And they say you are to blame for the multiple amounts of the tremendous amount of carbon emissions around the world. What say you to this, right? Man, how are you going to do that to me? You colonized me, put me in a situation and to operate this because it's all I know how to operate off of, and now I'm stuck with fossil fuels. How does that work?
It's a lot of audacity, and what they're really saying to you is, where was your defense mechanism while I came and attacked you? That's what they're really saying to you. I acted like a predator. What was your defense mechanism? Right?
Now, what you gonna do?
What was you gonna do about it?
It's a bully. It's the bullying. The bullying. I don't like the word bully because I'm too big of a dude
to allow that.
Anybody to come bully me. I'm like a push round guy.
I'm with you on that.
You see that? Try Jesus. Don't try me.
But I throw hands.
I throw hands, baby.
I feel you on that.
But no, serious business. You can't. We can ill afford to let that happen. And the same thing happens in our own communities. But only they red. We're not from here. We're not from here like that. So what they do is they redline us, put us in these areas, and then what they do is they take us and utilize us for utilize the land for something else when they figure it out, right? So what they do, they put a factory there, they put a port there, and they keep you right there at the port. Why? So you can get to the port and work for them.
Absolutely.
So you cultivating your own land is impossible. And they make ordinances like they did with you guys. They made it impossible practically for you to put that garden up in West Town.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You not slick. You not slick. You not slick. We're on to you. This is Black Earth Days, baby.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't play that here. We gonna call you out. We'll call you out each and every time.
Yeah, it was
labor force, Drake. DeAndre says labor force. That's right. Labor force. I see Mark Hennessy over there watching. Hey Mark, how you doing? Mark Hennessy is a great dude, a strategist for the Democratic Party. And love to see him. Love to see him watching. Before we continue real quick, let me just say this, folks. If you're watching this show right here, because we call it Black Earth Days, does not mean that you can't watch us and learn.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, share your ideas.
As a matter of fact, let me elaborate on that. We calling it Black Earth Days because it is absolutely paramount that the Black voice steps into its role in contributing to environmental justice.
Exactly.
Right. We represent a great portion of the population on this planet, and if we do not step into our own position, then what we allow is a wide gateway to infiltration.
Absolutely.
A wide gateway to infiltration by parasitic companies and governmental regimes, and which leaves everybody who is on the side of environmental justice vulnerable. In other words, if Black people don't step into their position and basically become a strong link,
yes,
then that allows the chain to break, and everybody is compromised.
You know what, man? I'm not at the point of saying to my people, "You weak."
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'll ever be at that point of ever saying something like that to my people. I'll tell you acting weak.
Yeah.
I'll tell you acting weak.
Yeah, for sure.
You're acting weak. We can ill afford to continue to act weak. Listen, when you look up experts, just experts in environmental justice, look it up. Tell me how many people you see who look like us.
Straight up. Because we asked that question for a reason.
Yeah. Watch the video. Who narrates the videos? You got Morgan Freeman narrating the videos because he got a cool voice.
Right.
James Earl Jones because he got a cool voice.
Exactly.
But who actually
is in the
field. A scholar.
Yeah.
The scholars they pull to interview don't look anything like us. And rarely do you see this happen. The panel discussions. You have the Florida Brownfield Association that's going to be coming here to Gainesville next week. Yours truly will be there next week to go and actually moderate that, because I've been asked to do it because I'm an expert in the field. An expert in the field. Where are the other experts, man? And we're saying, we're not just saying we're the other experts, we're actually encouraging other experts to come out, or people who want to be experts, who want to go to school for it, whatever it is, to come out and be a part of it. DeAndre says,
See that.
what about the ghettos and jails? Morgan Street, the old Morgan Street jail, produced and managed displaced gentrification of Aboriginal
And victimized people.
and victimized. Yeah, listen, that happened. That happened. People were actually, from my understanding, people mysteriously disappeared after being released
from Morgan Street.
From Morgan Street jail. There are people that left there and were never seen, never heard from them. There were people that were killed in that jail.
Well,
that's coming from someone who was in the jail. I've known at least 3 people who have been held in captivity in those jails and then witnessed deaths, beatings and things like that. And back then, of course, that was commonplace.
Yeah, that was part of it.
That was part of the whole thing. But they were beating people, killing people, all types of stuff. But I digress. The issue here is, when you have these jails, they go there and they will work in those capacities, and for different companies that come in and produce for other countries or whatever it is, and they use that slave labor based on the 13th Amendment, the clause of the 13th Amendment that re-enslaves you, to actually send people off and have them do time. While they're doing time, they're working in these farms, they're doing all this stuff, producing this stuff. But again, I digress. In focusing in on the facts of what produces of what happens when you don't have control of the production in your own community. Did you hear what I said? Have control of the production in our community.
I'll say it one more time because that's my claim to fame. You have to have control of the production. Have to.
Yep.
Have to.
Yep. Got you. Listen, these countries are going out there, and they've allowed in the neocolonial body, neocolonial function. What we've seen, folks, is people who actually physically left, but control from afar. If you watched King Leopold's Ghost, as we invited you to do, please watch King Leopold's Ghost. King Leopold never set foot on the continent of Africa, not one time in his life. Yet he became rich off of everything that was done in Africa by his Belgian cronies. Okay, to this day, the Belgians will left there in the Congo region, but they every once in a while what they do is they send somebody down there. They plant a seed of discontent or plant a seed where there was a problem, and now you have an issue where they are somewhat permanently, almost permanently there. The devastation they've done to the country is unbelievable, man. The deforestation, the deaths of the wildlife, the poisoning of water sources there in the Congo, the Congolese relied on, the murders, the outright murders for precious metals. Unbelievable. But it happens. And this is what we have to make sure, and that's why DeAndre, mercenaries.
Yes, that's
all mercenaries what they are.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always been a task force of mercenaries. That's what it is.
It keeps the discontent like it did in South Africa, for instance. And it's a tactic that's always used. What the mercenaries do is they're people who don't have to be white. They can be black from another country, for instance. In South Africa, what they did is they gave AK-47s to black Africans and sent them into South Africa from Malawi or from Zambia and give them AK-47s and tell them to start shooting in a certain area. And then the people either kill them so they can't say anything about it, or send them back to the country so they can't be found. And what they do is they say, "Oh, well, that was the IFP attacking the ANC." You see, and this is what happens. But here, and those are political parties, by the way, in South Africa. But here in the United States, the same type of thing happens. They give those kids guns, and they go out there and do what? Kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or let's keep it. I digress, but let's switch it over. Let's look at what happens when they want one of these sellout politicians to do something. The politicians allow scorched earth in their own community. Scorched earth in your own community, to your own people. Drake.
Well,
inexcusable, man.
Yeah. Speaking of that, speaking of what politicians allow on this soil, bringing it back home for just a moment and getting back to the two questions we asked. Can we have environmental justice with colonization? For one, let me ask you that question, and then we're going to let's answer that question also on the flip side.
No, absolutely not. There's no nobody got to think about it. There's no in between on it. Absolutely not. And that's because colonization is not intended for that reason. They don't care about what they leave behind. You know what I'm saying? Unless they live in it or near it, then they want to gingerly handle these things and make policies all of a sudden to protect it. Right?
Yeah. To some extent. Yeah.
That's your colonization. Colonization is not sustainable. Colonization is not sustainable. Now, let's say versus non-colonization. All right. There's something to be said. First of all, yes, it's possible to do it, but there's something to be said for having the evil, menacing effects that stand around, that exist in these regions. What happens? They do this farming, they take over this land, and they leave it, and they say, okay, President so and so, this is what we want you to do. If you do it right, then what we'll do is give you $500, $5,000, whatever it might be, $5 million, whatever. Plus, we'll give you arms, so you can build a standing army, right? To imprison your enemies, to kill you, to vanquish your enemies, all these other things. This is what happens. This is what it's all about. And so, can you really trust that? Now, let's say, for instance, we do trust it. Like you have Ibrahim Traoré out of Burkina Faso, right? 36 years old, I think he is, 36-year-old man, and military, and he's doing his thing.
And it is.
The problem that I'm having with that is not really with him at all, but in worrying that somebody's going to kill him.
Well,
and then revert somehow back into a francophone country or a Frankish protectorate, if you will, colony, and then they start screwing people over.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any other option. He knows that. His entire military regime knows that. I think they've thought about that very thoroughly, and that's why it's now a military state. It's not a republic or a democratic state anymore.
Yeah.
It is a military state now.
Yeah.
For that reason, because they know, if they would have kicked out colonial powers as a democratic and democratic state in a diplomatic way, it would have been an assassination.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I think at this point, what that young brother's doing is the probably the most effective example. And I mean, who can really argue with that at this point? Right? Who can really argue with that at this point? So now, I think the even more intriguing question, it seems, it may even seem like a rhetorical question. Can we have environmental justice without colonization? But I think it still needs to be discussed, right? Still needs to be opened up. So, when we think about without colonization, I think that becomes a sensitive topic too, because, what does that look like exactly? What does non-colonization look like?
Right.
Right. So, and now, mind you, we can easily talk about what non-colonization looks like in Africa. Very easily. It looks like exactly what's happening in Burkina Faso. That's what it looks like. What does it look like in America, though? Right? What does it look like in
the political dynamics is slightly different.
Way different, actually.
Because we don't,
way different, actually.
So our presidency, our government doesn't operate in the same way it is. We aren't in martial law. We don't have anybody black or anybody in power that has an empathy to deal with it in the same way.
And is even further question. Do we have constituents of other demographics that are not black who are not squeamish enough to have this conversation? Another question. All right. So, because the question then becomes this. Now, if we're talking about non-colonization, then we're talking about indigenous or, like you say, I know you don't like this term, communities of color, quote unquote. Right? Communities of color operating relatively exclusively and with due cause and purpose.
Right.
And self-governing to a certain extent and level under proper jurisdictional allowance. That's what that looks like, right? But then put that under the umbrella of an environmental justice. Can we still sit at a table and argue the same points with other communities to where, the demographics are heavily lopsided? Do we still have the same interest? My answer would be yeah. Because why? Because we're talking about basic resources.
Right.
Because we're talking about water. Because you're still human. In other words, if I live in an exclusively black community, if you live in an exclusively Latino community, if you live in an exclusively Caucasian community, you still got water running to your house. You still have a human body that requires you to drink water at least every 72 hours.
Right.
Clean water. Right? So the answer becomes yes.
Okay. So how do we put that in place?
Put what in place?
How do we put the controlling systems in place then so that our communities are sustainable? For instance, one of the things I thought, and hey Gretchen, how you doing? Gretchen Mickler watching this right now. Let me share this. And please, again, y'all stop and say this is Black Earth Days, your weekly magazine on Black environmental justice. Please share, share, and subscribe on the Walk Busy YouTube channel. The Walk Busy YouTube channel. Go there, WALT, then BIZZY. Go there, share, and subscribe. Get other people to come watch it because this is important, folks. This is important. You don't want to miss this. Every week we come to you with new information on this type of stuff that affects you in some major ways. Now, back to what you're saying. If we take the new technologies that have been created by Black inventors, we have inventors, for instance, who have actually taken and made water literally out of beer.
Mm-hmm.
Significant amount of water.
Significant
not no little bit of water.
I know what you mean.
Gallons upon gallons continuously of water. Mm-hmm. Now, you also have a situation where, so you put that in place. How do you treat that water? Mm-hmm. Treat it, okay? We got enough engineers. We can test it, treat it, whatever that do, right?
We can do that.
All right, so let's give that man some money. Let's buy the machinery, put it in place, or get the machinery in place and lease it from him, right? Okay, so that's one. Another thing we can do is we can also make certain that we are cleaning our own community. Those people who are homeless, give them a job. Mm-hmm. We have CRAs in different parts of our towns, the cities. Give them a job. Make city council give these people jobs and cleaning up and helping out. Okay. The other thing is sustainable. It's sustainable, right? Then we have to make sure that our governments are not corrupt.
Of course. And I think that's the bigger issue.
That's the bigger issue.
That becomes a bigger issue.
Because of corruption, that people. And here's the sick part about it all. Here's the sick part, and I think here's the thing. We learned it from the white.
What's that?
That type of corruption.
Oh, political corruption?
That type of political corruption. We learned from them in terms of how they function or how they ran these countries.
But we have templates of
good government. We do.
We have that.
Thomas Sankara, also in Burkina Faso, he was murdered. He was assassinated by his own brother-in-law because, was it 1987? Because he was running good government. Women were part of government, functioning, right? And all of a sudden we have a problem. Listen, schools in place, nationalizing certain structures and things like that in order to make sure that government control was in place in order to maintain a non-colonial, maintain or be rid of colonial interference, or make a non-colonial state. Mm-hmm. That is something that we have to do. We have to establish the same thing in our own communities. Be hard about it. Be hard about it. Listen, why is it that those programs out there, brownfield programs and things out there, we don't use them? But then when we don't use them, white folks are standing there watching. Let them get into the communities. Guess what they do? They use the brownfield to gentrify your own community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
well, we get it. There's some catching up to do, and that's why we're talking about everybody getting on board and learning as you go. On your own and with us about this environmental field, because what we're talking about is the more you learn about environmentalism, the more you just mind you. So here's a side note, really fast. the thing about environmentalism is, as as little as you're going to see other Black men talking about it, on the other end of this is there is so much information about it on any platform at any given time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At any given time.
Absolutely.
At any given time. If the info is out there, believe you me, if you want to know and you want to learn.
We got text. Ooh, Drake. Come on, man.
So my point is, you can get caught up fairly quickly, because my thing is, we're not expecting you to become an expert overnight in order to get involved.
Right. But you got to start thinking.
In other words, you have to start studying, and you have to start becoming aware before you start becoming adept. And also, this is what I'm pretty sure Walt would concur with me on this. In order to get on this front line with us, we're not expecting for you to be an expert. We're not expecting for you to have all of the knowledge. We want you to just have the will.
Yes.
I am way more respectful of someone who has the will than someone who has the information but ain't willing to bust a damn grape. There's a lot of people out there like that, got all kind of information, and they'll sit there and talk about it, but ain't gonna do nothing. All right. So going back to what you were saying, brother, when we see a situation like, say, there's a brownstone out there, brownfield out there, and we're trying to figure out what can be done. If we have 10 to 20 people who have, at minimum, the will to want to do something with it, we have enough people who, just with me and Walt alone, we have the network of people who can make whatever we want to do with that brownfield happen.
Right.
But if we're going to do something with that brownfield, we're going to want to do something with it for the community. So we want you involved.
Absolutely.
So,
gotcha. How do we do it? Again, use the resources we have, right? We have them, we need to use them. Dre, we got to make sure that we're directing people how to do it. So I guess in the coming months, in the coming weeks, literally, we're gonna give tips about things that we can do to transform your community now. We're gonna give tips about what you can do to transform your community now. Listen, man, you know how many Black farmers there are there, man?
Yeah.
And ways that you can do farming. Like, you know how cheap it is to do. I mean, there are people out there who say they don't eat pork or bacon or whatever, man. Listen, bro, give me a piece of bacon, bro. Straight up.
I ain't eating no damn bacon. But I mean, listen. Y'all do
on the other side.
Do what you will. But you bring up a good point. But let me let you finish your thought. I want to talk about Black farmers, and I want to talk about we're talking about, if we're gonna go into the direction of urban agriculture.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of Black farmers out there. Indeed. And mind you, so here's the thing. Let me give you guys some insight. I'm not a generational farmer. I gained an interest in urban agriculture, let's say about 10 years ago. The reason. No, I mean, I got like a little tail green. My point is I can say this. Again, I'm not a generational farmer. Can I grow some stuff? Yeah. Can I? Do I easily learn how to grow whatever I want to grow? Yeah. When I don't know how to grow something, you know what I do? I go find somebody who know how to do it. Right. It's really that simple, because there's a lot of people out here who know how to grow stuff.
Right.
And it's really that simple.
Right.
And so my point is this. All right. So am I building a small urban farm in West Tampa? Yes. What's the long-term plan of it?
Well,
so what we're looking at is this. So this has been my experience with developing this urban farm. First and foremost, now let me say this very fairly. Tampa Planning and Zoning has been very excellent and instrumental. Let me say this: the personnel at Tampa Planning and Zoning has been instrumental in every step of the way from the very start. When I was first applying for the zoning to modify the zoning of this city lot in West Tampa, you're talking about a mile, less than a mile from downtown Tampa, right? You're talking about it's in downtown Tampa practically. So we're talking about a very urban piece of land. Converting that into a zoning that was allowable for agriculture, which was a special one use zone. The not the policy, the code, the zoning code, they had to listen, they had to Frankenstein coding together for me, but they did it. I forget the guy's name, and I forget the guy's name who helped me do this, but he's personnel down at Planning and Zoning. He said, I really like the project. He said, I'm going to find bits and pieces of zoning code, and we're going to put it together and make it to where, you know, this is going to fit the bill for you to convert the zoning of this lot into special one use, or apply or add on special one use to this lot, right? Stuff like that. So my point is, the people in general would like to see this happen, but the initial infrastructure of the zoning code was not suitable for urban agriculture. It was not. In other words, there was no planning initially to see you grow your own food in the city of Tampa.
Right.
At first, it wasn't. It was not. Okay. So, so anyway, so we jumped a lot of hurdles just with zoning, just with planning and zoning. Jumped a lot of hurdles with that. Anyway, so now we're in the process of building, let's say constructing this garden. So what is the long-term plan of it? So it's 4,000 square feet worth of space. It's not a lot of space to grow any amount of produce to sufficiently supply a community worth.
Grocery store anyway.
Grocery. I mean, I could probably fill up an aisle, or let's say a shelf in the grocery store. I could do that.
Would it be sufficient?
But it wouldn't be sufficient long term. So that's not the ultimate goal.
Right.
What is our ultimate goal? Education and collaboration. I'll say it again: education and collaboration. Education for what and who? Education for the youth, the middle age, and the elderly, and the community, on how to grow conventionally and modernly and futuristically.
Yes.
All right. Conventional garden, meaning raised garden beds. And I say raised garden beds because urban lots are heavily contaminated. Very badly. And Walter will give you an entire breakdown on what is in the soil in West Tampa alone.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And this is why I would not want to go straight out of that dirt. Right. And when you're just thinking about urban agriculture in general, these are the things you have to consider. So this is why, you know, you want to do raised beds. In other words, you want to import some soil. Okay. All right. Hydroponic growing as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two reasons why. For one, hydroponic growing, it doesn't have to be, what's the word? For lack of a better word, it doesn't have to be a heavily genetically modified process. It does not. You can grow with very natural nutrients in your water system, in your hydroponic system. You can, absolutely. And so what happens is in a hydroponic system, your produce grows 3 times the rate. Grows very fast, for one. And also, two, spacing becomes beneficial, right? Because you have the ability to grow vertically instead of horizontal. So in other words, the same concept as a high rise downtown. Same concept. You can grow up instead of growing left and right. All right. So you can utilize, you can maximize space. Right. So in other words, I have a 4,000 square foot lot. I don't have to worry about, only, north, south, east, and west horizontally. Literally grow up and down. Literally. Right. And we want to educate the community on not only coming to our host space and showing them how to do this, but they can also take this home with them. They can do this in their backyard. They can do this on their balcony. They can do this wherever they have, let's say, 500 square feet.
Drake, did you see where the folks in St. Louis, I think it was, or was it Kansas City, where they used $2,000 of their money and purchased land?
They took $2,000 and they purchased some land for urban agriculture. All right, well,
let me not say, they didn't do it for urban agriculture. They did it to buy several blocks and bought 20. It was like it was for $20,000, something like that, and they got like several blocks.
And they spent how much money?
20 G's.
200?
20.
20? And they bought several blocks?
Yep.
In St. Louis?
In St. Louis.
I'm gonna look it up. And let me tell you.
What
the racks, God have mercy.
Put it together. Go out there and go buy some farmland. Do you see the sign? Drink.
20,
I swear to you, man.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna pass out from the excitement.
Hold up.
Of knowing how I'm gonna do this. Let me share this with you guys. Do you know that in there are parts of Africa right now that you can go buy land? Right? Let's see what is there. It is right there. No. People, the whole community is like 200 people. So got together and bought this a whole city block. Get out there, man. Let's get it. Man. Let's get it.
Well, I get what you're getting at. My point is, so the reason Walter's bringing that up, $20,000 for a city block is, I'm talking more than a bargain. And if you're talking about a collective of people who would like to see an establishment that is non-colonized, right? Walter's a civic engineer. I have a background in construction management. I have a background in urban agricultural development, as I just explained to you. But we can make it happen. We can make it happen. But those are the kinds of endeavors that you have to start looking forward to.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of endeavors. That's the future. That's the future for you for the next half of your life. Definitely the future that your children and your grandchildren have to grow up in. Okay. I will say this too, brother. We are
coming up to wrap up time.
Yeah, coming up to wrap up time.
We got so much to talk about now. Indeed. Especially now, I'm excited because we're gonna be telling people how to get this done while we try to do it ourselves.
Well, they can walk with us.
You can walk this journey with us, man.
Yeah, they can walk with us.
Walk the journey, be a part of what we're about to do. And do it yourself. Try it yourself. You might have even more success than we have, but it's okay. At least you did it.
Yeah. And then you know, based on what you heard of our experiences were, if you feel like you know we can chime in and give you some advice, reach out to us, because it's not about it's not about nickel and dime every step of the way, for whatever it's worth. If you want our services, we are businessmen, when it comes to certain levels of service, but when it comes to collaboration and seeing other people do this, no, we have no problem sharing experiences at all. I have no problem with that. So you have our socials, just like the young will say, hop in our DMs directly. You feel me? Just hop in our DMs directly. We're not.
You can slide in your DM.
Slide in the. That's what it is.
Slide in your DM. Reply.
Slide in the DM.
I ain't playing. I'm buying.
Slide.
Bars.
Slide.
Hey man, listen. We got so much. Oh my God, I'm excited, brother.
Sure.
I'm excited. We have guests that are going to be coming onto the show soon.
Yes, indeed.
From Africa. People are going to be calling in from Africa even to talk to us, man. We got people right here in this country, right here in Tampa, that are going to be coming in to come talk to us about how this thing works, what we need to do. Listen, I was saying a little earlier about being a pig farmer, right? Mm. You know how cheap it is to be a pig farmer, how easy it is to do it, but also how lucrative it is. Mm. Listen, you may not eat pork. Tell you what, there are people that do.
I mean, listen.
And that sliver off the belly. You understand what I'm saying? They call pork bellies.
Somebody eating that.
It's called bacon. You understand what I'm saying? That bacon, pork bellies, you probably heard on the market called pork bellies. Check out how much it costs. You understand what I'm saying? And they sell orange juice on the market. Also, man, listen, don't get me started, brother. Why is Brazil ain't got to be the only game in town?
What's Brazil selling?
Brazil is the orange juice industry.
The orange juice industry?
Yeah, they bought all our stuff. They purchased everything over here.
Well,
you go out here in Orlando, on the way to Orlando, you see the Brazilian flag up there over the orange production from the big orange production.
I'm gonna say this, and if they try to take me out, it's the Brazilian cartels. Listen to me. Self-sustainable microcosms. Mm. Listen to that word, write that down. Mm. Take a picture. Self-sustainable microcosms of what we're talking about.
Post me down.
Feel me? Yeah. Self-sustainable microcosms. All right. And so that's what we're discussing here. When when Walt said, a group in St. Louis bought up 20 blocks, that's what they're going to try to do.
Yes.
I already know what it is.
Yes.
Yes. So when you hear us talking about urban agriculture, that's a component of a self-sustainable microcosm. That's what that is. If you're talking about Dre Long on the YouTube Live, he said neighborhood electricity program. That's a component of a self-sustainable microcosm. In other words, you're talking about, again, controlling the production of all of your basic resources. That's important.
That's it.
And it's not all about capitalism. It is literally about you having an understanding and an interface with your ecosystem.
Exactly.
You have to do that. Every other organism on this planet does that. You have to do that. Otherwise, nature will select you.
Woo.
Y'all understand what I'm saying to you? Exactly. Exactly.
Bye-bye.
And select you not because you chosen
to move on. Select you as
for extinction.
Man. Man.
All right.
Did you say extinction?
Extinction.
Extinction.
Nature will select you. Be like, listen, you ain't. In other words, just think of it like this. You have a body, and when you have a virus or infection, your body gets rid of that infection.
Yes.
All right. We're a part of the body of this planet. If you are an infection to the body of the planet, trust and believe that, like, the size of this planet, you don't think this thing is intelligent?
Bye-bye.
It is very good at ridding it. And listen,
we don't need you.
It is very, listen, history,
it cleans itself
as we know it, doesn't seem like it goes back far enough for us to see cataclysms wipe out whole civilizations, but it has done it.
We witnessed it in I'm talking about in recent memory. We have seen it happen in the world. In recent memory, we've seen the evolution of human beings.
Exactly.
There are people, they talk about it now, people out in the South Pacific, and there's my wife. And
hey, Sister Yolanda.
There are people out there right now in the South Pacific whose lung capacity over time has gotten so large. It's gotten so large because they live underwater trying to get their food. They have to dive and stay underwater for a long period of time.
Staying up about 10 minutes, can't they?
They pierce their eardrum because of the water pressure in order to be able to stay in the water longer. Listen, man, this is not a joke.
It's for real.
Serious.
It's very real.
This is serious. You think this is a joke? It's not. Listen, man. You know, this issue of eugenics, right? Man, that's garbage. That's garbage. The problem, the issue with eugenics and the environmental justice piece is that environmental justice refutes eugenics. In fact, eugenics is wiped off the game board because of the fact that we have to do what when we eugenics thing said that we Black people don't think.
Oh shit.
Right? In other words, we don't have the capacity. We're undesirable. We're actually, as they call it back then, they called it retarded. Right? We don't have, I'm not supposed to say that, right? But they say, I don't worry about that mess, man. Listen, we're supposed to be retarded. Right?
Okay.
We can't do for ourselves, so white people have to do for us. We're incapable of having a society that is a successful society. And when you do this dumb things that you do, out there killing each other, not producing, continuing in the same path that you're doing what you're doing, is you're justifying something that's not real.
True indeed.
You're justifying something that's not real. And it says that you can't think, that says that you can't do, that says you're undesirable, that says that you need to be eliminated from the face of the earth, and says that you don't need to be reproducing. So if you can't do any of the things that God commanded you to do, what? If you can't walk on this earth and lord over those things that you were supposed to lord over, control your environment.
If you can't be husbandman of the earth.
Come on. Something's wrong. And you should know that something's wrong. And you should be embarrassed. And I'm telling you this for you so that everybody can see it, hear it, and understand. Change what you're doing today. Be producers. The textiles that are being used right now in Africa, get them from there. You don't have to buy them from here.
You don't.
Get them from there.
You don't. Let me. Finish you.
Get your textiles from there. Those are our brothers and sisters. They're telling you right now they want to do business with you, but you want to listen to these fools that are coming on TV on what do you call it, on social media, like, you know, the fools on social media that are telling you that Africans don't like you. You're a fool for believing it.
Oh, Oh, definitely let me chime in on that.
You're a fool for believing it. I'm telling you, you're wrong for thinking it. You're wrong for believing it. I'm telling you, until you step foot over there and actually done the footwork yourself, you will never know and never understand what it is to really do business with these people, to do what you can to become whole as a community. We are moving further and further away, it seems, for whatever reason, because we believe in this garbage.
Well,
I don't understand.
We giving a reality check right here in this moment.
Ooh.
All right, listen, say it straightforward, I guess. Are there going to be instances, because we talked about this on a prior show,
Yes.
Are there going to be instances where you're going to deal with people from Africa who you're going to have misunderstandings and disagreements with? Yes. You got Negroes that you deal with misunderstandings right here in your family. What the point is this? The point is this: find folks abroad, particularly in Africa, who are willing to do business with you to your great benefit economically, who you can see eye to eye with. Just do your due diligence on the person. Point blank, period. Take your emotions out of it. Stop dramatizing.
Why?
Stop dramatizing.
Why do you think Africa is still the breadbasket of the world? Why do you think these people keep doing what they're doing to these people over there on the continent? It's because the environment that they live in is sustainable. It cleans its man. Stop these people from doing it. The more of us that do business over there, the better it is for you to go over there and literally do business. To help who has our best interest at heart more than us?
I'm gonna tell y'all just like this.
Why all of a sudden are the Chinese going to Africa and doing business like this? What? And what's the problem? What's the problem? We have people who own whole what do you call them? Franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Food franchises that are black owned,
mm-hmm.
black created. And we're not taking it over there. I always say there's a place called Nando's from South Africa. Nando's is more of a Portuguese type thing. It's South African, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Nando's was only in South Africa. Nando's is in daggone Baltimore, Maryland, dude. I went to Baltimore and walked out the door and down the street, and there's a Nando's right across the street. It was closed.
You say, I'm bad. You forgive me. You say, what do they produce?
Chicken. They make chicken, rotisserie chicken.
Gotcha.
Some of the best chicken you ever had.
Right.
You understand? If you go to South Africa, I tell you, go and go do it. Go get.
So go to Nando's.
Go to Nando's. Tell you, it's better than the Kentucky Fried Chicken or anything else you ever had. But I'm telling you, my point to you is this: we are losing out on and losing ground the longer we sit up there and fiddle around with jive stuff here on these shores. I'm not saying don't do business with anything here on these shores. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is diversify your stuff, and not just diversify, but focus more on what you can do over there. We're losing ground.
Well, I'm gonna tell them like this. I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you. I'll do business
with
you, and I'll just show you.
We'll just show you.
Yeah, I think it's that. You know what? I think it's that's probably what folk need to see.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Yeah. And that's fine. But it's like this, because I can tell you right now, me and Walt, and I'm talking about separately. We have mutual connections from Africa, and then we have our own personal separate connections to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, man, The future is just this, and you don't want to get left behind on this. Particularly talking to Black people right now.
Right.
You don't want to get left behind on the Aboriginal American, Black American, African American to African cultural and economic collaboration. You don't want to get left behind on that. I'm trying to tell you.
Absolutely not.
You want to get left behind on that.
Absolutely not. I've been out there to, you go to Boston, you see people look like us with braids.
Yeah.
Okay, because Black folks mingle with the natives up there, and they're called the Native Indian. They call them Native Indians, but Native is the name of the tribe. They look like us.
Yeah.
You go out there to the Navajo Nation, you see people who look like us out there, man, and they're making textiles. They're selling artwork, just like you see on our HBCU campuses every Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on our campuses, right? At homecoming, things like that, right? Come on, man, we gotta get it, man. We gotta get it. To our brothers and sisters of the indigenous groups, man. Listen, man. It's time for us to stop all this squabbling and start get together, man. It is. It's past time. It's past time. And we need to start doing what needs to be done in order to produce together and exchange and do what we've been doing historically and get back to it. Jay?
Absolutely.
Jay?
Absolutely. Like I say, we and I respectfully will take the which we already have technically. Walter has connections I'll say it again, Walter has connections on the continent. I have connections on the continent. We've already engaged. We already have the proof that
it can happen.
It can happen. It's not a theory. It's not a fantasy or none of that. It's just a matter of, truth told is, a lot of the stuff that me and Walt want to work on is really big. It just takes a lot of time. It just takes, it's a process. It's a big endeavor usually. So long story short, we got our things that we're working on. You will see it. And we don't want you to be left behind. We will give you the opportunity to be involved in it. But you need to prepare yourself. Right? You need to prepare yourself. You need to, make yourself eligible. Eligible meaning, and available, so you can sit in a seat of position and authority to march forward with us. All right. So, all right, bro. We then we gave him quite a bit today. Next week.
Hey, King Pepper. Was he King Pepper watching this right now?
Peace, fam.
Peace.
We're gonna be coming back to you, live in effect next week as well. Right?
Yes.
Every week.
Yes.
Every week.
Make sure that you like, subscribe. The appointed thing is not even up there, man. We got to work on that. We're working on it, y'all. We're working on it. Listen, want you to like, subscribe, share, and hit the little bell thing, and then check us out. Check us out on the Walk Busy.
You did good.
Check us out on the Walk Busy.
I didn't want to interrupt.
YouTube channel. Check us out on the Walk Busy YouTube channel, and let's make something work, folks. Make something work. Walk Busy YouTube channel on YouTube. Like I said, like, subscribe, share, and join us next week for another episode of
Black Earth Days,
the weekly magazine on Black environmental justice. Walter Elspeth II.
Andre Hill II.